Chiefs Kingdom. I really broke out the pencil and paper this week. We've got some truth tables, some statistics, and all of this work I put forward for you guys just to show you what the odds are for the Chiefs being ahead of Baltimore at the end of the season in terms of playoff standing, and then ahead of the Dolphins in terms of playoff seeding. I didn't include the Cleveland Browns in this discussion, although they are a dark horse candidate to get the number 1 or number 2 seed. They do currently have a 9-5 record, so they are vying for playoffs positioning. And Joe Flacco has been playing out of his ever-loving mind with the Browns. So this is Gary McKenzie, Gridiron Lines. Glad you're here watching another episode of RGR Football, the best Chiefs YouTube content in the history of humanity, as far as I'm concerned. So before I jump into the playoff picture and all these statistics I have, likelihoods for the Chiefs landing in a certain spot for the playoffs, I want to talk about some things that I think are moving in a positive direction for the Chiefs. The first thing I'm going to talk about is Rashee Rice. So Rashee Rice is part of this elixir that the Chiefs currently have, where they're trending in a better direction after that Buffalo Bills game. Andy Reid talks about it all the time. He says, we're just a hair off, we're just a tick off. And I feel like this has been going on all season long, where the Chiefs are they're almost there, but they're not quite there yet. And a couple things have happened on the offensive side of the ball that I really like. One of them is Rashee Rice is starting to have a more defined role. The other one, I hate to say it, it's addition by subtraction. Sky Moore, unfortunately, was put on the IR list, and that means Richie James might have some more of his snaps going forward. Now, Richie James, coming from the Giants last year, he had a really good season with the Giants last year, around 500 to 600 yards, which is much more than Sky Moore was projected to get this season, and also more than MVS is projected to get this season. So Richie James, I believe, is addition by subtraction to fill in that spot for the Chiefs, and maybe it's taking him some time to learn the offense, but I think this is a good personnel move for the Chiefs. You know, in life, if something bad happens, someone gets put on IR, you have a setback in life, you can always look at a way to flip that on its head and turn it into something positive. And I think that Sky Moore being out and Rashee Rice filling his role is going to be a net positive for the Chiefs. So there's two good things going on with the wide receiver position. Rashee Rice is really starting to fill out a role. He's getting thrown the ball often. He has a chance to finish number 2 in Andy Reid's all-time rookie wide receiver list, behind only Deshaun Jackson. He'll be close with Jeremy Maclin. We'll see where he finishes, but there's a lot of good receivers in that group that he's going to finish ahead of, potentially Jeremy Maclin, potentially Tyreek Hill. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be Tyreek Hill, but I'm saying what he's done so far this year has been impressive, being a rookie in Andy Reid's system, and the Chiefs are going to look to continue to throw him the ball, which I really like. Another thing about the offense that I like is Wanya Morris stepping in at left tackle. So Chiefs spent a third-round draft pick on Wanya Morris, and honestly speaking, Brett Veach, his best ability might be drafting offensive linemen. Whoever is in the Chiefs front office that is reviewing the offensive linemen, grading them out during the draft process, that person is awesome. I don't even know who it is. It might be Brett Veach. It might be someone on his staff. But the person who's identifying offensive line talent for this Chiefs team is incredible, because they've landed guys like Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey, and now Wanya Morris. Throw him into the mix, and it's been pretty impressive what he's done so far. So in his first game versus Green Bay, he had 46 snaps, only allowed 1 pressure. Then versus the Buffalo Bills, he did have 4 pressures allowed with 1 sack, which is more than what you want to see. But you also have to remember he's a third-round rookie. He had 43 pass protection snaps in that game, so could have been worse. And then versus New England, do you even remember hearing his name called? I don't, other than that one hands to the face penalty that got declined. And that's the other thing about Wanya Morris that I like, is that I feel as though he's committing less penalties than Donovan Smith. So far, he's had 0 penalties accepted. Donovan Smith, it felt worse than it actually was. He's only had 4 penalties accepted so far this year. But looking forward for this Chiefs team, if Wanya Morris can fit in or fill in at the left tackle position where the Chiefs feel they have confidence in him, that's a lot more money that's going to be freed up for other positions that the Chiefs need to invest in, like potentially wide receiver or potentially another, pass rusher, another safety. Just all kinds of different positional opportunities open up for the Chiefs if Wanya Morris is able to play left tackle at a starting caliber level for this team. So far, so good with Wanya Morris. So that's another thing I really like about this Chiefs offense, where their trajectory is kind of moving in the right direction. Lastly, they played the Patriots defense last week, which has been middle of the pack in the NFL in terms of points per game allowed. They've allowed 21.4 points per game, but the Chiefs were able to hang 27 on them. And so that's 5.6 points above the average. Because of that, they improved in terms of their offensive SRS ranking, and they've upgraded from number 18 to number 14. So the Chiefs are kind of moving in a positive direction right now. And then in addition to that, their schedule is really favorable for the rest of the season. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Regarding the Chiefs defense, they're still Loctite. They're at number 3 overall, behind only Baltimore and San Francisco in terms of defensive SRS score. So the defense is where it needs to be. It's all about incrementally improving the offense with just a handful of games left. If you remember last year, there were some questions about the Chiefs defense. We all thought, is this group gonna get it together at the end of the year? Flip that on its head for 2023, and you're asking yourself, is this offense going to get it together, by the end of the year? And the jury's still out, but the Chiefs defense came through in the playoffs with rookies making huge plays. And the goal this year is for the Chiefs to have the same situation happen at the wide receiver position with Rashee Rice coming through and a lot of big plays in the playoffs. And we'll see what happens. But speaking of the playoffs, I wanted to look at Kansas City, Baltimore, and Miami and calculate what the likelihood of every outcome, winning and losing for these 3 teams, to see what the chances are for the Chiefs making it to that number 1 seed or finishing above Baltimore, or making it to the number 2 seed, finishing above Miami. I wish I would have done Cleveland, because they are 9-5 and they're in an interesting position to play that dark horse candidate or be a surprise candidate to, maybe sneak in with the 2 seed, possibly be the 1 seed. You never know what happens. The NFL's crazy. But I only considered these 3 teams because I consider them to be the 3 front runners. So what I did was I took the spread for every game that each of these 3 teams is going to play in for the rest of the season. And then for spreads, there are percentages associated with that number, with that spread number, to kind of give an idea of what the win percentage likelihood or what the win likelihood is for that team. So next week, the Chiefs play the Raiders, or this weekend, the Chiefs play the Raiders. They're 10-point favorites. In the history of all 10-point favorite bets in the NFL, 83.6% of those teams have won their game. So team is favored by 10 points, they win 83.6% of the time. There's tons of data going back over the years to validate this, or to give it enough strength to where I feel comfortable using this as a likelihood for winning the game. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be taking the spreads from the games, converting those to win likelihood, and then I map that to a truth table where I exhaustively go over whether the team won all 3 of their last games. They won 2, lost 1, won 1, lost 2, or lost all 3. So the probability for the Chiefs to win all 3 of their remaining games, given the spreads that they're going to see that are currently set, it's over 500% or over 50%. So they have a 52.6% chance to finish the season on a 3-game winning streak, which is a plurality from all of their other cases. In fact, it's a majority. So the most likely outcome for the Chiefs, from a purely statistic basis, is that they are going to win their last 3 games. That can't be said for Baltimore or Miami. So the likelihood that Baltimore wins all 3 of their games, when considering the win percentage based on their spread the spreads that are in the games that they're about to face, the likelihood of Baltimore winning their 3 games to finish the season is 14.2%. The likelihood of the Dolphins to win their last 3 games to finish the season is 11.5%. So the Chiefs' schedule, they play the Raiders, 10-point favorites. They play the Bengals, 7-point favorites. And they play the Chargers, another 10-point favorite in that game. The Ravens, they play the 49ers. They're 5-point underdogs in that game. They play the Dolphins. They're 3-point favorites in that game. And they play the Steelers. They're 7-point favorites in that game. The Dolphins have the toughest slate. They play Dallas, and they're at home, and they're 1.5-point underdogs in that game. They go to Baltimore. They're 3-point underdogs in that game. And then they play Buffalo at home, and they're 3-point favorites in that game. So, crunching all these numbers, all these statistics, the chance that Baltimore loses at least 2 games to finish the season, given who they're playing, is 40.9%, which is much higher than I initially thought it would be. The chance that Kansas City wins 3 games is once again 52.6%. The chance that Baltimore loses at least 2 games and the Chiefs win 3, or Baltimore loses all 3 of their games and the Chiefs win at least 2, combine these 2 probabilities, you have the number that is the likelihood of the Chiefs finishing the season ahead of the Bills or ahead of the Ravens in playoff seeding, and the likelihood of that happening is 27.7%. So I wish I could tell you it was higher, but right now there's about a 1 in 4 chance the Chiefs finish ahead of the Baltimore Ravens to finish the season. So they're right now underdogs or less likely to get the number 1 seed. Miami, though, things look a lot better. So the chances for the Chiefs to finish ahead of the Dolphins, so Miami has to lose at least 1 game, and the Chiefs need to win 3 of theirs. But also, you have to take into account the probability that Miami loses 2 games and the Chiefs win at least 2 of theirs. So add all that together, and the probability that the Chiefs finish ahead of the Dolphins is shockingly high to me. It's 88.5% based on the win likelihood of the spreads that have been placed or given by Vegas at this point in time. So the Chiefs are sitting really pretty for that number 2 spot. And the most likely outcome for the Chiefs at this point in time is to finish at the number 2 seed. But you know me, I'm a Chiefs fan through and through, and I am not going to stop believing. It's almost like that Journey song, I won't sing, I won't break your ears. But that's all I got for today's video. I hope those likelihoods were interesting to you. These truth tables and the statistical probabilities are things that I just absolutely love, coming from my computer science background. So many of you, this may have been like hearing fingernails on a chalkboard, but this is all music to my ears. I love knowing the likelihood for the Chiefs. And, maybe you can use this if you're planning on doing any betting. But next week, the Chiefs have the Raiders again. I'm not going to talk much about that game because the Chiefs are 10-point favorites. They should take care of business. I want to look for the Chiefs to continue to get Rashee Rice the ball, maybe working Richie James a little more into the offense. I really like the way Clyde Edwards-Helaire looked catching the ball last week, and we've talked about it ever since Helaire was drafted. That's what he was known for in college, is catching the ball, playing that kind of hybrid running back receiver role, but the Chiefs haven't used him that way very much. So it was interesting to hear that Clyde Edwards-Helaire said, hey, Patrick, throw the ball up. I'll catch it. Them short guys, they have to jump super high. That's why I'm in the NFL. I may be short, but I can jump really high. So I just really loved that commentary from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I've also been enjoying seeing some of his resurgence with Pacheco coming out. Things didn't work out the way that he wanted to, but he's still been a valuable member to this Chiefs team the past several years when he's been in the offense. He never has fulfilled that first-round running back role, but he has filled a role in this team and has carried the backup running back position very well, in my opinion. So I'm hoping to see more good things coming from Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and you can add that to another thing where this offense looks like maybe it's moving in a positive direction. With that said, let me know what you think about the likelihoods. What do you think about the 88.5% chance that the Chiefs finish above the Dolphins in playoff seeding? And then what do you think about of the 27.7% chance that the Chiefs finish above Baltimore? How do you see this season playing out in terms of playoff seeding? Right now, the most likely outcome is the Chiefs finish at the number 2 seed, and we might have to see road Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. We've never seen that before, so consider us lucky. But let me know in the comments. What do you think about those statistics or those likelihoods? Do you think they're bunk? Do you think they're spot on? Where do you have the Chiefs finishing this season in terms of playoff seeding? Was I wrong for not including the Cleveland Browns? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, make sure you hit that like button if you have not done so already. And make sure that you subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 30,000 subscribers. You know this because I've been talking about it every week nonstop. One day we're going to get there, and it's going to be glorious. It's going to be amazing. But really appreciate you all for watching this video. Hope you have a good rest of your week. And if you don't see me between now and 5 days or 4 days, I wish you all a very wonderful Merry Christmas. Hopefully you get to spend it with your family and have a good time. And if you are alone during the holidays, I also want you to know that you'll be in my thoughts because it can be very difficult to be in that situation. So I'm thinking of you. And, I hope everyone has a great rest of your week. With that, this is Gary signing out. Take care.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.